Sam was a poor electrician. He and his brother were repairing an old house. Due to the rainstorm, he hurriedly turned off the switch. Just then something magical happened, accompanied by intense tinnitus. His eyes darkened. When he retreated, he time-traveled to 1919. At this time, the whole house took on a new look. Opening the door, the scattered old room at this time was neatly fixed as a new room. A woman's voice came from the room. Sam looked intently. This woman was so familiar. At the moment before time traveling, Sam found a mysterious iron box inside the wall. After opening, he realized there was a wedding photo inside. The bride was beautiful. Wasn't the woman in front of him the person in the picture? The woman was frightened by the stranger in front of her. Sam hurried upstairs to find his brother. The woman took the opportunity to pick up the hunting gun. She didn't give Sam a chance to explain. Sam had to run out of the house. He walked down the street. Everyone was wearing the clothes of the last century. Even architecture, the notices stuck on the wall, all of them were signed in 1919. Sam believed that he had crossed the time. He still had to find a way back. That old house was the key to that. On the other side, Evelyn was playing her favorite song, starting to enjoy music. At this time, her mother heard the sound from downstairs. She came down to confiscate the record. Because her family was in decline, Evelyn had been sold by her mother to a rich family to be their son's wife. At this age, ladies were not allowed to listen to records. Then Sam appeared. With a simple trick, he took back the records for Evelyn. Sam asked her, "Is there any mechanism in this basement?" Evelyn was confused when she heard it. Sam said, "I come from 2019. I have to find a way back." But it was Evelyn's ridicule that ushered in. Sam took out the picture again. Evelyn said Sam was a big liar, because she never took a picture. But she also told him that if he wanted to know about the house, then go to her engagement party. Because the grandfather who built the house would also come. Sam found Evelyn's grandfather at the party. After explaining his situation, an old man nearby said that there was a rare storm happening recently. The air pressure dropped sharply when it came. It might cause intense tinnitus. Sam wanted to ask for more information, but the music suddenly burst. Everyone began to dance. At the dance, Evelyn's fiancé offered to take her wedding photos. Evelyn realized Sam could really come from 2019. On the way home, Sam told Evelyn about the good life in the future. In the future world, they got freedom of love and marriage. They could listen to any song they wanted on the internet. They could also divorce in marriage. They could go anywhere they wanted. Evelyn was fascinated, full of curiosity about the future world. They unconsciously walked to a drugstore. Sam remembered a sentence in the box, "General Pharmacy, Cabbage." It turned out that there was a bar on the ground floor of the drugstore and the code for entering was cabbage. Getting the password, the two entered the bar. They danced with each other. Imperceptibly, Evelyn had developed a liking for the man in front of her. The man was repairing the switch. Accompanied by intense tinnitus, his eyes darkened. He had time traveled to 1919. In 1919, he met the love of his life, Evelyn. But Evelyn had been wed by her mother to a local rich man. At that time, they couldn't decide by themselves. Evelyn's mother came forward and scolded him. "You are a young lady and an engaged one at that. She doesn't even love the guy. This is none of your concern." Evelyn was pulled back. She would marry the rich man tomorrow. "Hey, Evelyn, you don't have to go with her. You know nothing." Sam found the old man at the engagement party. The old man said what he encountered was the storm lake. It was a magical natural phenomenon. Sometimes, it often happened. Sometimes, it didn't appear for years. The old man took out a barometer. Then Sam took the barometer and found Evelyn. "Look, now, I found this in the cellar in 2019. It must mean that I'm the one who put it there. Maybe all this always happened. Maybe you were always meant to come back with me. I know it sounds crazy, I do." Sam didn't expect that Evelyn also fell in love with him. Finally, the two decided to escape. To avoid being suspected, she agreed to take wedding photos. There was a sudden rainstorm outside during the shooting. Seeing the changes in the weather, Evelyn ran home recklessly on the grounds of physical discomfort. Sam had been waiting for a long time. They ran to the basement. As a result, Evelyn's fiancé suddenly came. He took Evelyn away by force. Then he even punched Sam in the face. People left one after another. Just then the barometer moved. There was suddenly intense tinnitus. Unfortunately, only Sam was back in 2019. He spent the past few days and nights in 1919. At present, it was just a flick of the finger. His brother didn't believe in what Sam had experienced. He just thought Sam was too crazy about women. Sam didn't leave the old house. He found on his cell phone information about the 1919 storm. The storm caused floods that year. Many people in the town died in the flood. Evelyn's name was on the victim list. He must go back. He must save Evelyn. But he didn't know when the next lake storm would come. He could only wait. A day, a month, a year. Sam had been waiting for 5 years. His efforts were finally paid off. The storm was finally coming. He came to the basement. With tinnitus, he finally time-traveled again. He went back to 1919 to save his lover from the flood. But this time, it seemed strange. The poster on the wall told him that he had crossed 2034. The woman in the room was putting the child to sleep. She affectionately called the child, Sam. Wasn't this woman his lover, Evelyn? This future son didn't exactly explain if he succeeded or not. So Sam had to go back to 1919 to save Evelyn. Otherwise, everything in front of him couldn't happen. But he accidentally knocked down the toy on the ground when he went downstairs. The woman seemed to be aware of something, but Sam left quietly, crossing back to 2019. Sam found out that his brother had transformed the basement. That led him to cross into the future. Finally, he promised his brother to remove the cabinet and go to the doctor. The basement was restored, then the crossing began again. Right at that moment, Sam successfully returned to 1919. He took Evelyn's hand and ran in the storm. When they came to the basement, it was full of water. Their only chance was right in front of them. But just as they went downstairs, the beam fell down. In an instant, Sam was crushed. No matter how hard he struggled, he couldn't get out. Sam suddenly realized. He told Evelyn, "You must leave now. I just went to 2034. You had a baby and named him after me." Evelyn was very happy.
You do? How was it? This is what's supposed to happen.
Evelyn tried to pick up the beam, but she couldn't. She fell into the water with a stroke. The current separated them desperately.
I love you. You need to let go.
Evelyn sank to the bottom. She time traveled to 2019. Sam's brother saw the wet woman. He understood in an instant. It turned out that everything his brother said was true. They came to the basement, opening the partition. There were 2 letters inside. It was left by Sam in 1919. A letter was for his brother. There were all the signature, star, cards from 1919. At present, it was worth $10 million. He wanted his brother to build his own house, fulfilling the dream of all time. A letter was for Evelyn. Sam didn't die. 2 kind men had saved him. He had tried countless ways to get back to her. But the storm never happened again. When you see the letter, it means I'm gone. I want you to start a new life. Time passed by. It was 2034. On a stormy night, a woman was sleeping. A sudden noise came from the room. When she came out to check, there was no one outside. But Evelyn knew that it must be Sam. "I haven't met you before. After meeting you, I am willing to cross a century for you. I don't hesitate to lose my life for you. I'll do anything for you." This is the first episode of Amazing Stories named The Cellar. That's all for today. I'm Harry. I'll see you next time.